They called it Project Omega, a classified operation buried so deep in the archives that even seasoned intelligence officers whispered its name like a curse. No official record exists. No one admits it ever happened. Yet, scattered across the American Southwest are fragments of abandoned research labs, old communication towers, and stories of people who swore they heard something they weren't supposed to hear. It began in the late 1970s, when Cold War paranoia drove the U.S. government to explore technologies far beyond the limits of science. At the time, the CIA had already experimented with mind control under but Omega was something different. Something much darker. The project's objective wasn't to manipulate individuals. It was to influence entire populations. Imagine a technology capable of altering emotions, decisions, even beliefs, all without physical contact. The concept was terrifying. Using electromagnetic frequencies to tune the human mind like a radio, early documents referred to it as behavioral harmonics. The theory claimed that by modulating specific frequencies, human thoughts could be subtly guided. Anger, fear, compliance, all could be induced artificially. According to declassified memos obtained decades later, the project's core testing site was a sprawling compound in Nevada, far from any city. Workers brought in under secrecy were told they were building radar systems. In reality, they were constructing vast antenna arrays, capable of emitting low-frequency signals across hundreds of miles. Locals began reporting strange phenomena almost immediately. Cattle dying without explanation, birds flying in chaotic spirals, and people hearing faint voices carried by the desert wind. The military dismissed it all as paranoia. Yet internal reports confirmed that animals within the test zone displayed unusual neurological activity. One former technician, identified only as Evan, later came forward in an interview. His words trembled on the tape. "The first time we powered the system, the desert went silent. The air felt thick, like electricity before a storm. And then, we started hearing things through the receivers. Voices, not ours." Evan described weeks of testing where signals were transmitted, monitored, and adjusted. The goal was simple: synchronize brainwave patterns of test subjects with the electromagnetic emissions. After several sessions, participants reportedly experienced vivid hallucinations, sudden mood swings, and unexplainable fear. Some became violently ill. Internal documents hinted that behavioral synchronization had been partially achieved, but the cost was high. Several participants disappeared. Records claimed they left the facility, yet their families never saw them again. By 1981, Omega expanded beyond Nevada. Portable emitters were tested in urban environments under the guise of telecommunications experiments. Small teams were deployed to cities like Denver, Seattle, and Dallas, installing devices disguised as radio relays. These operations were hidden under government contracts with private defense firms. A whistleblower in 1992 leaked fragments of what appeared to be Omega's operational guidelines. One chilling directive read, "Behavioral modulation must remain undetectable. If emotional disturbances manifest publicly, deactivate all units within 12 hours. If true, this suggested that Project Omega's influence had reached American cities, that ordinary citizens were being unknowingly subjected to behavioral experiments. But what truly terrified investigators wasn't what Omega did, it was how it evolved. Declassified communications from the mid-1980s reveal that artificial intelligence began playing a role in Omega's development. Early neural networks, designed to predict public reactions to political events, were merged with frequency data from human testing. The idea was to create an adaptive system, a machine that could analyze emotional responses in real time and automatically adjust broadcast frequencies to maintain behavioral equilibrium. This integration blurred the line between human psychology and machine control. Omega was no longer just an experiment, it was becoming autonomous. By the late 80s, strange coincidences emerged across the country, coordinated emotional shifts in populations that matched political and social milestones. Massive protests turned eerily calm overnight. Panic spread through towns for no reason, then vanished the next morning. Was it natural, or was someone tuning the frequencies again? Journalists who tried to investigate Omega faced intimidation and sudden disappearances. One reporter, Linda Farrell, vanished in 1989 after claiming she had obtained a classified film reel showing live tests on civilians. Her car was found on the edge of the Mojave Desert, engine still running, doors unlocked. The footage was never recovered. Rumors persisted that Omega had been shut down after public outrage over government mind control surfaced in the early 1990s. But fragments of new reports suggested otherwise. Military spending quietly increased in neurocognitive defense. Technologies and private companies began filing patents, eerily similar to Omega's original research. Satellite data from the early 2000s revealed new installations deep within Arizona and Utah. Isolated complexes surrounded by miles of fencing and electromagnetic shielding. Residents nearby complained of headaches, sleep disturbances, and vivid nightmares. Dogs barked at empty fields. Radios picked up whispers between stations. An anonymous letter sent to an independent news outlet in 2007 claimed to come from a surviving Omega engineer. It stated that the project had been reactivated under a new name, Sentinel. The letter warned, they learned how to transmit on frequencies not just across distances, but across minds. They're not testing anymore. They're maintaining. Since then, scattered reports from across the U.S. have described strange phenomena: coordinated blackouts, unexplained mass anxiety, and sightings of unmarked drones hovering at low altitude before disappearing. Some believe these drones act as modern relays, broadcasting new frequency patterns directly into populated areas. Digital forensics experts have also discovered encrypted data packets transmitted across radio spectrums typically unused by consumer devices. These signals, when decoded, resemble waveforms associated with brainwave frequencies. What makes it all even stranger is the timing. Each transmission coincides with major global events: market crashes, protests, elections, and even viral outbreaks. Could Project Omega, or its modern equivalent, be influencing collective human emotion on a global scale? Of course, the government denies everything. Official statements dismiss the theory as science fiction. But if history has taught us anything, it's that truth often hides behind the label of conspiracy. The final piece of evidence surfaced in 2022, when a hacker group calling themselves Echo Rift released a trove of documents allegedly taken from a private defense contractor. Among the files was a chilling video, grainy footage of a massive antenna array pulsing in rhythmic intervals. In the background, a voice whispers, "Control the frequency. Control the mind." Experts still debate the authenticity of the footage, but the implications are terrifying. If Project Omega, or Sentinel, truly exists, then we're not just being watched, we're being tuned. And as technology advances, the potential for control grows exponentially. Every phone, every Wi-Fi signal, every connected device emits frequencies. What if those same frequencies could be manipulated? What if the infrastructure we rely on every day isn't just communication, but influence? Many dismiss this as paranoia, yet deep down, something doesn't feel right. We've all felt sudden waves of emotion, unexplained anxiety, or collective unrest that seem to appear out of nowhere. Maybe it's coincidence, or maybe, somewhere in a hidden facility beneath the desert, the transmitters of Project Omega still hum, shaping thoughts, rewriting emotions, and bending reality one signal at a time. If this story has made you question what's real, you might want to stay tuned, because in the next chapter, we uncover the evidence that Project Omega never ended. It simply evolved. Stay alert, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the truth is transmitted in silence.